Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this eMarketer Academy webinar on event management for SuperOffice. Super excited to see so many participants here this morning, and I look forward to sharing some inspiration, hopefully, on how you can improve on your event management process and how you can optimize the way you share information with your colleagues in sales and account management, in customer support, with regards to letting them know what's going on your event and what your event participants are experiencing and thinking about what is going on your event. So that will be the topic of the webinar today. My name is Klaus. I am the CMO of eMarketer and one of the speakers here at eMarketer Academy. So if you've been to a previous eMarketer webinar, we may have met before. I am, like most of you guys, I guess, a practitioner, a user of marketing tools such as eMarketer. Not a technician, not a developer, so if things get really complicated, I'm happy to have a lot of really great colleagues here to help me and you out with regards to using eMarketer. The objectives of the webinar today are really to see how events are managed in eMarketer, how we manage events, how we schedule, plan, and automate our entire event process. We'll also see, of course, how eMarketer can share event information with SuperOffice, since this is where the customer owners or the sales and account managers people, where they live, where they have their daily activities and routines, and more importantly, maybe where the entire client relationship history is stored. Of course, an event, a seminar, a party, whatever it is that you're organizing, that is part of the customer relationship history, and that should be in the CRM. We're making sure that that can be done as effective as possible. And then also, I hope to inspire you to upgrade your event process, maybe be more ambitious with the way you organize events and the kind of event touch points and strategies that you employ. So that is really my objectives today. This is not a training session, so we won't go through all of the details of how to set everything up. This is more an inspiration that shows you what can be done and how you can be smarter about your events. Covering everything in every detail simply won't be possible with the time we have available today. Just a few words about eMarketer. We are a Swedish software company. We're based in Stockholm, or should I say Kista, just outside Stockholm. We've been a cloud-based marketing automation platform since 2002. So we've been around for quite a while, but in the last 5 or 6 years, we've focused heavily on creating a very strong integration into SuperOffice CRM, as we're seeing that sales and marketing are working closer and closer together and should be working closer and closer together so that the insights and the leads and the client and prospect information that marketing is generating is readily available in the CRM systems where sales and account managers can consume that information. So we've been certified by SuperOffice as a built for SuperOffice product, and we're very proud of the integration we have to the CRM, making it possible for marketing to work seamlessly together with their colleagues, even though they're in two separate tools, so to speak. So eMarketer is its own tool and SuperOffice is its own tool, but they speak very well together across these two platforms. So what is eMarketer? eMarketer is basically a platform on which you can manage a lot of your online marketing needs. For instance, email marketing, event management, as we're going to talk about today, surveys, evaluations, mobile marketing such as SMSs and mobile landing pages, mobile surveys. We can track the traffic on your website so we know who's visiting, how long they've been there, and what pages they've looked at. You can do Facebook marketing, post to Facebook, do Facebook ads. Landing pages that are kind of standalone mini websites that you can design with a very flexible look and feel. You can do mobile apps, and you can automate everything across all of these different channels. So all of these different bits and pieces are part of the eMarketer platform. And what's really neat is that when you're doing events, as we'll discuss today, a lot of these different pieces or components come into play, because events are pretty big projects, and you communicate with your event participants on many different channels, on many different platforms. Mobile is becoming king of events, so you need to be able to communicate on the mobile device, at least having very good looking responsive emails, but also being able to do SMSs and maybe even mobile apps for your event is becoming really the big thing for events. And we're going to cover some of all of that today. But just to let you know that all of this is in the box, that's eMarketeer. So even though you may only be thinking about events as an invitation and a registration, there's so much more you can do, and I'll highlight some of that today. Okay, moving on. So what is an event? And I kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier, because when you think about events, typically you think about big conferences and parties and trade shows and maybe seminars, either in your office or off-site. But there's so much more. Really, any gathering, any kind of project where you have to invite people and maybe capture some confirmation registrations, send some follow-up, can really classify as an event. So a lot of people, when they're first asked, do you do events, they kind of think of these big ticket corporate events, and they say kind of no, or only once a year. But when you really get to it, you have more of these things going on in your teams than you would first think. So it's really a lot of different processes that involves invitations, registrations, follow-up, and so on. So what could be part of an event process? There are so many touch points there. Obviously, as we mentioned, there's an invitation, there are reminders if people don't register on your site. Maybe you have a specific website for the event, maybe you do a mobile app, lots of different, and this you could multiply this screen with 5 if you want to make events even bigger and the event process even more elaborate. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can do, and we can call these event touch points, a lot of places where your event participants can see and touch your event design and event communications. And then add to that list all of the other things that go into organizing an event, setting up sponsorships, engaging speakers, doing templates for the presentations, and all of these things are taking place in a pretty short time span. And then I've highlighted a few things here, like briefing the sales team and following up with the sales team and account managers. These are the guys that are actively working with the prospects and the customers, either to make them customers or to extend the value of customers, to educate the customers, or whatever it is, whatever the topic or the objective of your event is. Those are the guys that are in the receiving end, or should be in the receiving end, of information about who is coming, how are they evaluating, how are they doing, and what are the best prospects we have at this event, and so on. And that kind of can fall a little bit to the back when you've got all of these other things to take care of. And that's why when you see a marketing manager or an event manager, sometimes it's the face of frustration, because there are so many moving parts. And regardless what anyone says, events can really be quite complicated. So we need to be really smart about how we organize it, how we share information about events, and how we can easily reuse and repurpose the stuff that we've already done previously. Most events need multiple tools, multiple channels. You need something for your website, something for mobile, maybe social, registration pages, email. You need a lot of different tools. The trick is, the more tools and more channels you add on, if you take individual tools for these different purposes, you will need to master a lot of different tools. You will need to master a lot of different editors and contact databases and integrations into the CRM system maybe, and it can be really a hassle. And what you end up being is king of Excel, because that ends up being your event marketing tool. So you download Excel files from the registration form in SurveyMonkey maybe, and you upload it into an email platform to send out follow-up and confirmation emails and so on. So you are really being the master of data management there, instead of having a system that works for you. So that is what we want to do away with, and what we are focusing very much on in eMarketeer is making it so easy for you to organize the event. Your event guest gets a great experience across many different channels, whether you use mobile or email or both, and websites and whatnot, and you organize and orchestrate all of that in eMarketeer, and you can easily share that information with SuperOffice. So not one tool for one channel, you really master them all here, and you share the information with your colleagues in sales. This mantra that a lot of CRM systems are being implemented with goes along the lines of, if it's not in the CRM, it never happened. I'm sure some of you working with sales or CRM managers have heard that saying before, and we kind of say the same thing about your event information. If it's not in the CRM, how should people know that it took place? If the evaluation is not readily available real time in the CRM, how should people know that their contacts have evaluated? So those are some of the things that we will show today how to do a lot better. There's some questions here about whether eMarketer runs with SuperOffice Online. Yes, indeed, we run both SuperOffice Online and SuperOffice On-Premise. So you can, no matter what kind of SuperOffice installation you have, you can integrate with eMarketer. There are also questions about whether we offer demo accounts for eMarketer to try these things out that we're seeing today. Absolutely. After the webinar, there will be a short evaluation, of course, and there you can just tick that you would like to try out eMarketer. So don't worry, Joost, you can definitely try out eMarketer. Okay, so let's see this in action. Let's see how you can organize all of these different things and how you can make that smart by sharing the information with SuperOffice. So here we'll design an event flow. And again, this is just something that I whipped up. Your event flow and your event process may look very, very different, and that's fine. You can just mix and match and combine all the different pieces of eMarketer to an event process that you think is great. But what I'm starting off with here is I have some event participants or guests that I would like to invite to my event, and they are in the SuperOffice CRM. They may be in a selection or a project. I've asked my colleagues to put all of the people into the project or into the selection that they would like to invite, and I do my own segmentation there as well. So SuperOffice is really where the guests reside. I can then invite these people via an email and directly from SuperOffice into eMarketer, so the email is distributed. I would obviously like them to go to a registration page where I will ask them questions about their contact details, if I don't have them, whether they have any dietary requirements, or whether they are participating in all of the breakout sessions, all of the stuff that you need on hand to organize your event. Maybe you would also like to drive traffic to that landing page or that registration form for social media or from a landing page that you can advertise, so you can really drive traffic to your webinars from many different channels of different sources. Then obviously when people register, you want to automatically send them a confirmation with more information about the event, the ability to add the event to their calendars and so on. And already at this point, we will re-engage the CRM. We will make sure that that SuperOffice is updated constantly with all of the people who sign up, and maybe even what they sign up for if you have different breakout sessions or different tracks at your event that people can choose. You can make sure that they end up in the right spot and you have the right registrations in your project in SuperOffice. So your colleagues are real-time notified when their customers have signed up for the event and what they've signed up for. So we want to make sure that the reports are there from the get-go. We also want to make sure that not only the overall how many people signed up for the event so far is available in SuperOffice, but also down to the contact. You know, as a sales manager or an account manager, I care about my clients, and I want to see, I want to be notified when they've signed up, or I want to know what they've done, so I can get those kind of notifications for me personally. So it's both on the aggregated level and it's on the contact level in SuperOffice. We want to automate the send out of reminders, so we want to make sure that out of the people that we've invited that haven't signed up yet, we want to make sure that they get a reminder to really maximize the number of participants on our event. Then maybe the day before, we want to send out an SMS telling them we look forward to seeing you at the event tomorrow. Here are the driving directions from your address, or here is the mobile app for the event, or similar. So anything that you can really do to nudge people to actually show up at the event, to minimize the number of no-shows you have there, and also to show that you're on top of the event process. You can reach them on their device of choice that they will definitely bring to the event. Then after the event, we want to have a scheduled evaluation invitation to go out if we don't evaluate on-site in a mobile app, as I'll mention in a few seconds. We want to make sure that that process happens automatically as well and is really set up prior to the event, because surely at the event or the day after the event, you'll have tons of things to do, organizing and following up. So it's good that that evaluation can be prepped and scheduled prior to the actual event and be sent out automatically. And then when people start evaluating the event, obviously we want to make sure that that feeds back into the SuperOffice CRM as well. So on a general level, the management can see what is the satisfaction with our event overall. But on the contact level, so the individual people who participated, what did they answer? For instance, if a client answers really positive, we will leave a notification on the account manager's diary saying, here are the answers for your client, he had a great experience. But if the client answers negatively, maybe we should create a task for the account manager saying, you need to reach out, call this client, he had a problem at the event. So we want to make sure that they can act as proactively as possible to the feedback that we get from event goers. And then there's this whole thing about event apps. Maybe not for a morning seminar, but definitely for full day events and larger gigs. Having an app for your event, for the event goer's mobile phone, is really a cool thing. You can distribute these apps via email or SMS, and you can put a lot of information into these apps like agendas, videos, pictures, speaker presentations, personalized agendas, and much, much more. So these are really awesome things. And again, you might think that mobile apps has to do with app development and huge budgets, but if you can do the invitation, if you can do the email, you can do the app and all of the stuff that goes into the app as well in eMarketer. So that's really something to think about if you're having some larger events planned. Think about moving into the mobile sphere here with your event. Just going to see there are some questions that are popping in here. I'd like to address them already if possible. Let's see. Can registrants send invitations to colleagues? So if you send out an invitation, how can colleagues invite? How can you invite your peers? There are different ways of inviting here, Joe. You can have a very personal invitation where it's actually one invitation per that individual, or you can have a more open invitation where that can be forwarded to colleagues so they can also sign up for the event and be registered as event goers. The neat thing about that is that when people register that aren't in SuperOffice, that they can automatically be created as new contacts in SuperOffice as well. So that was that. I hope that answered that question, Joost. Okay, thank you. So moving on. So this is just the event flow that I've designed here. A lot of different moving parts and a lot of different event touch points. But the neat thing is I can organize all of this in one place, and I can schedule and automate all of these different bits and pieces. So let's have a look at that, how all of this is organized. So I'm going to exit the slides here and go to eMarketer. So here we are in eMarketer. If you haven't seen eMarketer before, this is where it all happens from the marketing side at least. This is where we design our campaigns, send them out, monitor them, and we schedule and automate everything. Then of course it communicates tightly to SuperOffice, and I'll show you how information ends up in these different boxes. So I won't go through how to create everything. So like any TV chef, I've prepared an event for you, and we will just dive into some of the touch points here to see how they work. So this is the overview. This is my car show, which is the demo event that I'll be doing today. And I have all of the different touch points from that big flowchart before. I have my invitation, event registration form, confirmation emails, reminder emails. I have my SMS that I would like to go out the day before. I have a Facebook page. I have an event landing page. I have the invitation to the evaluation that should go out the afternoon of the event. I also have the evaluation form prepped. I have an on-site registration, so I would like to register my participants when they arrive at the event, so I know who are actually participants and who are no-showing the event. So I could have a registration booth or some reception staff help me out actually doing this on-site. I have an email and an SMS that delivers the event app I also have for this event. So all of these different event pieces or touch points are really just organized in this campaign neatly for me. I'm just going to open up a very few of these touch points so you can see how things look in eMarketer. This is the editor. This is where we edit content, in this case an email, but the editor looks exactly the same regardless of whether you're doing a landing page or an app or an email. So if you're familiar with this, you can do all of them as mentioned. So here I have my event invitation, my headline, Future Watch 2017 is here, a link, a button to the registration form. I have an add to calendar feature here, so if they click this link in the email, it will actually add the event to their Outlook or iCal calendar. with all the event details that I would like to put in, and so on. So obviously you can design these very freely to match your event design. So this is the email that I'll be using. Once they click the register here button, they will go to the registration form. So I'm just going to open up the registration form to show you how that looks. So this is the registration page that they will end up on. Welcome to the Future Watch, take a ride into the future. I have some contact details. Maybe I want to do name badges or similar, so I want to make sure that I have all of the information that I need. Asking them if they're staying for dinner and drinks. And if they are, I will ask them a question about any dietary requirements, vegetarian, lactose intolerant, and whatnot. And of course, here is where you could also do all of your different tracks and sessions, breakout sessions, so people can really register for the parts of the agenda that they would like, and then you can customize an agenda for them afterwards. These questions are dynamic, so if they answer no, I will not be joining you for dinner, obviously this question won't be shown. It's only showing that question if they answer yes here. Okay, so here's a question from CJ. Is it possible to track sales leads? Absolutely. Leads are, I'm going to assume two different things here. Maybe a lead that you already have in your SuperOffice, you already have some non-customers in your database and you can invite them and see how they're doing. Absolutely, it works exactly as regular contacts in SuperOffice. But also, let's say that you advertise for this event, so you're actually generating new contacts that are not in SuperOffice, that are not known to eMarketer, brand new business opportunities. They can be included in this process also and be reported automatically to SuperOffice, where you can pick them up from the leads report in SuperOffice. So absolutely possible to do to track sales leads and generate new business opportunities in your event process seamlessly into the CRM. So I hope that answered that question. Okay, so here's the registration form again. You can add more pages. If you have a really elaborate agenda with many different sessions and tracks, you could build all of that here. So I won't go into all of the different touch points here, but as you can see, they're all organized. I have my confirmation email that I would like to go out, I have my reminder that I would like to go out, and so on. Now I'll show you how you address, automate, and schedule the actual event communications process. So for instance, the invitation. This event takes place at October 10, and I would like to schedule my invitation to go out next week. So I'm going to click send, and I'm going to schedule my send out. And then I'm going to use SuperOffice contacts, and then I'm going to search for the project that I have prepared in SuperOffice. So I have an event, a project called Car Show 2017. I'm going to import the contacts there from SuperOffice into eMarketer, and I'm going to schedule the send out for the 26th of September at 10 o'clock. There we go. So now my campaign, my invitation is scheduled and will go out at the time that I just chose there. So that's one way of scheduling, actually scheduling the send out, targeting people in a selection or in a project in SuperOffice. Then we have the confirmation. That's a different kind of scheduling, because obviously I would like the confirmation to go out right after the registration has been submitted, right? So I'm going to also say, okay, I would like to send the confirmation and would like to make that an automated send. So here's the automation that does that. I'm going to give that and then my name like event confirmation, and it has pre-selected the email confirmation because that was the one I chose. I don't want to delay the send out, so I want to have that happen right away. And I want it to be sent out when they have submitted the registration form. So here I have all of the components in my event, the registration form, the confirmation, and so on. So I'm telling eMarketer, send the confirmation when they submit the event registration. So that just happens automatically. I can even get more nitty-gritty and send specific confirmations based on their answers to their registration. So for instance, if I have one confirmation email to people who have said, I want to stay for dinner, I could do that. And then I could do another confirmation for people saying, I'm not staying for dinner. That way I can include specific event information to my event participants based on what they've signed up for the event. So that's how you do an automated send out of the confirmation, for instance. Then the last scheduling I'll show you is the reminder. So I would like the reminder to go out maybe a week before the event to all of the people who were invited, minus the people who've already registered, obviously. So I'm going to send this one, and I'm going to schedule that as well. And I'm going to choose a selection. So I'm saying to eMarketer, okay, I want to have all of the people who got the invitation. That is my gross recipient group. And then I would like to take out all of the people who've already registered. So I'm getting my registration form here. Where is my event registration? And then I'm going to block those. All right, so what I'm telling eMarketer is when the time of the scheduling arises, eMarketer will check how many people did we address and who's already registered and block those from the send out. So that is how I can automate and schedule the send out of my reminder to all of the people who haven't registered yet. So I don't want to bother all of the invitees, obviously, only the people who haven't registered yet. So that's an easy way to organize that. Okay, so let's see here. We go back to my event, and I have all of my scheduling set up. The invitation is scheduled, the confirmation goes out right away, the reminder goes out automatically, and the same approach could be used for the day before reminder and so on. You get that. So here's a question from Eva. She asks, how do you show that the client accepted an invitation in SuperOffice? I want it to be saved under activities for future record. Thank you for that question, Eva. That is exactly what we're going to do now. So this is all great for my peace of mind in eMarketer. I make sure that my event process runs on autopilot. But as promised, we want to make sure that my colleagues in the CRM system are also getting this information. So Eva, what you're asking is basically when someone signs up, how do we make sure that that information ends up in SuperOffice? And we do that with an automation. So I'm going to add an automation. And on the right-hand side here, these are all the things I can do in SuperOffice, right? So for instance, create a task or create a notification. And I guess in this case, I don't need to create a task for the contact owner every time someone signs up for the event, but maybe a notification would be nice, so it ends up on record on the contact, and the contact owner is kept in the loop here. So I'm going to create a notification. I'm going to say event registration for the name. Then there's something really cool here. You can store this contact in a project, and many people use projects in SuperOffice to organize their events. So I'm going to use the event project that I have prepared over there, because that just gives me a beautiful overview of my event. So that now the registration automatically ends up in the project, and I'm going to choose an activity for this and say first name registered for the car show 2017. And when should this happen? Well, obviously it should happen when someone submits the event registration. Again, here I can go all the way down to the questions and say I want to put a different text for the people who sign up for the evening event and another text for the people signing up only for the day event, so that the contact owner really knows, okay, this guy, maybe there is a chance for me to sit next to him at dinner so we can discuss business, so you want to have different notifications depending on how they register. So this is how you make that happen, Eva. You create a notification or a task on the contact. When they register, you make this stuff flow directly into SuperOffice. And likewise with all of the other things that you do in eMarketer. For instance, we talked about the evaluation. We have an evaluation here that goes out the afternoon of the event, so we maximize the chance of getting event evaluations back. And there's a question in this, I'm just going to show you. There's a question here that says, would you recommend this conference to others? Now, if people say yes, that's great. That's probably a good event experience. But if people say no, there's something to worry about for the contact owner, for the account manager. What went wrong? How did we not meet expectations here? I want to be as proactive as I can be when people actually have negative feedback. So I want to do a task based on people giving negative feedback to my event. So again, I'm going to do an automation. And in this case, I'm going to do a task. So this will end up as an open activity, a to-do item on the contact owner's diary. So I'm going to call this evaluation negative feedback. Again, I'm going to store it in the event project in SuperOffice, so I have a good overview over there. I'll show you how that looks. And then I'll do a task, and I'll do a telephone out. And I'll say, please call, and then I'm going to merge in the first name of the contact. He, she had a negative event experience. And then, when do I want that task to go? Well, I want that task to go when someone submitted the event evaluation in a specific way, namely that they wouldn't recommend the event to others, for instance. So now, whenever someone evaluates and says, I don't really think it was that worthwhile, this task will be created on the contact owner's diary on this contact. Please call first name, he or she had a negative event experience. They can actually open up the evaluation right inside SuperOffice and see how they evaluated. So Eva, I hope that kind of concluded some of those questions you had there. So here you can see all of the automations that I've set up for this that automates my entire event. I have the notification that goes off to SuperOffice when people register. I have the email confirmation going out. I can even update interest codes in SuperOffice when people answer specific things to the registration and so on. So let's see how all of this stuff ends up in SuperOffice. All right, so here I am in SuperOffice. This is SuperOffice Online 8, so if you're not familiar with the blue colors, if you're still on SuperOffice 7, don't worry about that. It's the same functionality over there, so rest assured. I can strongly encourage you to have a look at SuperOffice 8 and specifically the online version that we're using. It's just so flexible and great to work with. So as mentioned, I have added these contacts that signed up for my event in a project. So you will see the project members are actually the people who've signed up for my event, and they're just automatically added to this project whenever people join. On the Activities tab, I can see the activities that eMarketeer has created on all of the event participants. For instance, a notification saying Thomas is joining us for the event and the dinner. There's Klaus is joining us for the event, but not the dinner. So if I open up the registration here, opening up that activity, I can actually see Klaus's registration inside SuperOffice. So I can see that he filled out the form with his contact details. He's not staying for dinner and drinks. And if he had also answered questions about which tracks and sessions that he was participating in, I would be able to see all of that here. So that ends up in SuperOffice in real time, right after the contact here has registered for the event. I have the information here available. Here's an example of the evaluation. Thomas had a great experience. See details under www, and you can see that this is a closed task. So it's not really a to-do item. It's more kind of an information, and I can open up and I can see the event evaluation that he submitted. Would you recommend the conference to others? Yes. Would you like to test drive any of our cars? Yes, please contact me. Ooh, that's an interesting one. That's actually a sales lead. I'll show you how that ends up in here. And then you have the entire event evaluation right inside SuperOffice. So you don't have to ask your colleagues in marketing, how did he respond? Have we sent out the evaluation yet? Everything is gathered here. Now here's a more urgent one. Telephone out. Klaus had a bad experience. Call to follow up. So this is the case where someone had a less than optimal event experience, and we do not want to just keep that on record. We want somebody to actually reach out to this person. So that's why we set up the task telephone out. So we open up the activity. We can see the answers again, and we can see that he said, no, I would not recommend this event to others. And then we can go through and see what the question was so we can best prepare to answer him in a meaningful way when we call him about this. Okay, so this is great on the activities. I can follow up on the individuals here. As mentioned, Thomas here, he would like to test drive, and that's why automatically we've created a sales opportunity here. So we've created a sale. Thomas is interested in test driving a car. So from your event touch point, you can actually create potential sales and start building pipeline right inside the CRM. And again, I guess in many cases, the reason for doing events is really to increase sales or keep clients closer to us. So being able to track sales that link back to events is really great for showing your event ROI. Now, these are all on the contact level, of course. These are individual activities that are created on contacts. The cool thing is that you can also share reports in eMarketeer. So if we just go back to eMarketeer and, for instance, say, I want to show how many people have registered for the events, I can create reports that I can pull out from eMarketeer. They will always be up to date. They are online reports, so they will always be containing the last information, and we can put those reports straight into SuperOffice for the general overview as well. So if I look at my shared reports, I have a report for the event registration, and I've put that into SuperOffice on the project. So on the project, you've got links. There's a great place to put in your reports. For instance, event registration report. So you open that inside SuperOffice, and you see how many actually registered for the event, how many are staying for dinner, and so on. So you don't have to bug your colleagues in marketing all the time. How many have registered? How many are coming? They can just open up the reports right inside SuperOffice. You can also do that with the event evaluation, of course. So you just prepare the online report, you make it available as a project link, and when they click that, they can instantly see how have people evaluated the event. So you have a great overview of that, and that updates real time whenever people evaluate the webinar. Sorry, the event. You can even play around with putting that on SuperOffice dashboards. So if you use dashboards in SuperOffice, this is a new feature. So if you're on SuperOffice less than SuperOffice 8, I don't believe you have dashboards. But in this case, you can put web panels on your dashboards, and you can actually show the evaluation right on dashboard. The key here is these are the tools that the CRM users use every day, or should be using every day if they use the CRM to the fullest. So the fact that you can make your events and your marketing projects flow seamlessly into the place where the users of SuperOffice expect to find these features is really, really crucial. All right. Let's go back to, I'm just going to check, a lot of questions have been popping in here. I'm just going to pick a few of them. Let's see, where can we pick up the questions? Here we are. All right, so here's a question from Johan about bounces. How do the system handle bounces, bad email address, and so on, and how will I see that in my event? eMarketeer will try to send your email invitation, for instance, throughout 24 hours or so. We'll keep trying. Let's say the inbox is full, or the server that you try to receive, that you're trying to send to is currently down. So we won't just send once and then not try again. So we'll keep trying delivering the email. But if we conclude this email address doesn't exist, or the server reports back to us this is a bad address, after 2 sendouts like that, we will flag that address as bad, so you won't keep sending to it. And that is to keep your email delivery as high as possible. And then you can see for each invitation that goes out, you can see the bounce report. So if we go back here for each invitation or each email, you have reports, and you can check out the bounce reports there to make sure that you are aware of bounces. You can then export those into a selection in SuperOffice so that your account managers can look through those and make sure that you have current contacts on all of your companies. I hope that answered that question, Johan. How do you handle people? Let's see here. A lot of questions. Some are very specific. I'm going to sum those up in the Q&A at the end. There's some questions about the app. I'll get to that. Here's a question from Manuela. The notification to sales is only in the project or also in the company card? A customer card, sorry, that's from Manuela. The notification to sales is both in the project and in the diary and on the contact. So that is what is really cool. So if we look at the project like before, the activity here is not only, let's see, activities. The activities here are not only project activities. These activities are just related to this project, and that's why they're shown here. But if I go into eMarketeer follow-up systems here, so I actually find the company, I will find exactly the same activity on the contact. Here we are. So that is the same one. If I open up the activity, I believe you can see that it's related to a project. Here we are. And that's why it's showing on the project overview as well. So you have them on the project, you have them on the contact, and the contact owner, the account manager or sales rep, will have them in their diary as well, Manuela. So that shows up all of the places that you would expect, and obviously also on Pocket CRM if you use the mobile app, and all of the web panels you're seeing here where they can see the evaluations, you can see the invitations, they will also show up on the mobile device in Pocket. So I hope that answered that question, Manuela. Let's go back to my event here where we have now shown how you send out the invitation, the scheduling, how we automate the tasks and notifications into SuperOffice so that I keep my colleagues there up to date in real time, so I don't have to import and export Excel files, uploading and downloading information between platforms. It just flows automatically. Now let's look at some of the a bit more advanced touch points, such as event landing pages, for instance, that you can use for your event. I just want to highlight some of the stuff that you may not be familiar with in eMarketer. A landing page is a standalone website. So if you have an event that really requires its own look and feel, its own design, you can build those in eMarketer. You can have countdown timers, register buttons, you can do schedules and agendas that look great. You can include videos and many different types of content, like a gallery with built-in Lightbox functionality, speaker presentations, and so on. Frequently asked questions boxes. Just a lot of cool content that will make your event really stand out, and it's just as easy to edit as the emails and other stuff that you're familiar with. So if we go to the event landing page in the browser here, you will see all of this content here. You will see that the videos that you use, they will play directly on the web page, on the landing page. You will have the light boxes that will pop up with the event images. You have the speaker presentations, and again, if you don't have all of these things for your event, you just delete the boxes and they disappear from the page. The page is responsive, which means that will look great also on a mobile device. We'll just get a nice little top menu here on your mobile phone, so you don't need to worry about responsive designing. So that is event landing pages, which can be a great addition to your current event communication. Also great for sending traffic from advertisements, Facebook posts and whatnot, to landing pages that will really showcase your event and drive registrations there. Then there are event apps. Apps that are built in eMarketer are built exactly the same way as your email, so you can build apps for a mobile phone right inside eMarketer. You can design them completely freely, you can decide how much content you want to put in here, and it's very easy to build and edit here. And the best way actually to show an app is to just try to get my phone onto the screen here. Let's see if that works. Okay, so this is now my phone that you're seeing on screen. It's a mess, but bear with me. You can send an SMS to your event goers. For instance, here, hi Klaus, access the event app, as you can see here. So that's how you deliver an app, either via an SMS or via email. So you don't need to go through app stores. You don't need to develop one app for iOS and one app for Android and so on. And opening up the app here will open up the app on my phone, and a pop-up will appear that asks the recipient to put the app on their home screen. And when they do, the app will end up on their home screen like this. You have an app icon, you can change that, and then you can open up the app on their phone. Now this app really lives in the browser, so it's what's called a web app, but it looks like an app, it feels like an app, and it's very, very flexible for you to use. So here's the About session. You can see I can slide back and forth. I have agendas that I can do. I can include badges, QR codes, for instance, so you can actually scan with a USB barcode scanner. You can scan the recipient on the participant on site, and so much more. So these apps are really, really useful. They're like Swiss Army knives for your event. And the cool thing here is once you get the app out on your event participant's phone, you can continue to update the app with new content in eMarketer, and it will always be up to date on your event goer's phone. So you don't need to push new apps out or have them download new apps. It just works every time they open the app. So that's very, very easy to do and to distribute, and it doesn't require developer skills or a huge event budget for this. So I just want to highlight that is possible as well if you haven't tried it out. We're seeing clients use app also for internal use for staff that is going to a big trade show or a big event. They're actually doing an event app packed with information about the trade show to staff going to a trade show to really maximize the time spent on a big trade show or a big industry event. So it's not only necessary for clients and event participants, but also for staff to really gather all of the information about an event. All right, we are running against the hour here, so I want to make sure that I get as many questions answered as possible. I just want to mention that some of these things you're just seeing may feel a little bit daunting. We have a lot of really skilled people standing by to help you out. We have the support team, obviously, at eMarketer. We have our consulting team. You have the eMarketer resellers and your SuperOffice partners. All of these folks are really on the ball here with regards to how you can maximize your event value. So don't be afraid to reach out to us or your eMarketer reseller or your SuperOffice partner and ask them questions about this. Because it can be a bit daunting to get started, but as I've shown you here today, hopefully it's really doable and will hopefully increase the value of your event, and if nothing else, your sanity when doing events. We have a lot of more stuff coming up on the eMarketer Academy. We have a bunch of webinars about eMarketer for SuperOffice, focusing on surveys and evaluations for SuperOffice, focusing on mobile apps, focusing on some cool hacks and tricks you can use between eMarketer and SuperOffice. So check out eMarketer.com/webinars for the future webinars that are coming here, focusing on eMarketer and SuperOffice. All right, I just wanted to get that out of the way before I dive into to more questions from you guys. And in the respect of time, if people need to drop off, I totally understand. I will stay on as long as possible. So just keep the questions coming, and I'll do my best to answer as many as possible here. Okay, so let's see. Here are some questions from Joost. He's really eager to get started, and he has some detailed questions. Feel free to reach out, Joost. We will definitely follow up after the webinar with you, as you have a lot of questions that are very specific. Here's a question from Laura. Can you explain how to scan from the app, software you need to read it, and what info you get? The cool thing here is, Laura, if you have eMarketer, you already have the software. What you need is a barcode scanner. These barcode scanners can be bought online. They are USB scanners. They kind of look like the scanners from your supermarket. What's key there is you want to have a scanner that can scan a QR code. So you want to make sure that you can scan QR codes, but because they work really well on mobile devices. But you can also put barcodes into email for printing, for instance, and people can scan QR codes. The trick here is then, what does a scanner do? Basically, a scanner copy and pastes, right? So it reads the QR code, and then it pastes the QR code. So you want to make sure to capture that paste somewhere. Let me show you let me just exit the slides here, go to eMarketer, and show you what we do here. I have created a form called on-site registration. What that form does is capture an email address, and that is all. That is the only input on this form. So imagine that I create a QR code or a barcode in an event confirmation or in the mobile app that contains the event participant's email address. So when the barcode scanner reads that QR code, it copies the email address and pastes the email address into this form and automatically submits the form, and then the form reloads. So all you do is you scan, you click the scanner, it copies the email address, pastes, and submits the form, and then you know that email address actually showed up at the webinar. Then you can base the send out of the evaluation on the people who've submitted the event registration form or the scan form here, and then you know that that person was actually there. So it's pretty straightforward. I want to do a small video or a small hack session on this because it seems daunting, but it really isn't. You can just plug the barcode scanner into your USB port, and you're off scanning, and you can paste your scans into forms and automatically submit. As a quick rundown, Laura, but just I wanted just to give you a peace of mind here that you don't need extra software. What you need is a barcode scanner that can scan 2D codes, QR codes, and then that scanner will automatically be able to talk to that eMarketer form and submit it. So I hope that that answered your question, Laura. Oh, you actually sell scanners. Well, anybody wants to buy a scanner, you should get in touch with Laura. Here's a question from Andre. Should it matter if you use static or dynamic selections from SuperOffice when importing and exporting to and from eMarketer? I don't believe that that should matter, Andre. I think you should be able to import both static and dynamic selections. I'm not sure about combined selections. I don't think you can import those, Andre, but I'll make sure to get back on you on that specific question. But both dynamic and static selections should be possible to import. Here's a question from Konstantinos. For someone who's new in his job, how difficult is it to get going with this? Konstantinos, this is what you can see here is hopefully something that gives you an overview. I know that there are a lot of moving parts in this stuff that I've created, but you can really boil it down to an invitation, a registration, and a confirmation. You know, those are 3 simple steps. And the editor, as you can see, is quite intuitive. You've got a built-in image editor as well, so if you want to crop images or put text boxes on top here, that's all included inside eMarketer. You don't have to think about whether your email is responsive. It will look great on the desktop and a mobile device. It's built into the templates. Links between components are very easy. You just double-click and you add your links. You tell it where to go. So building these things and combining these things is quite straightforward, Konstantinos. So I don't think you should be intimidated. But again, reach out to our support, a consulting team. They'll be happy to get you going. Let's see. I hope that answered that question, Konstantinos. If anybody has an experience being new to eMarketer, how you've experienced it, whether it was difficult, whether it was easy, feel free to put it into the questions box, and I'll be happy to read some of that stuff aloud from your experiences. So, Konstantinos, you don't have to take my word for it. Let's see. More questions. They are really coming in. Thank you so much, guys, for all of your. They're really inspiring here. Here's information about from Laura again. Can you get information on what products they're interested in? That's kind of an open question, Laura. But the thing you can do very easily, for instance, when you ask people on the registration or an evaluation. Let's go for the event registration here. Let's see, we have a question on, would you like to receive our car industry newsletter? So when they click here, I know that they're interested in the newsletter, and that interest code can be carried right through to SuperOffice as well. So if you use interest codes on the contact card, let me grab a contact here, open up this one, you have on the contact, you have interest codes. Here we are. These interest codes can automatically be updated from eMarketer. So if people checkmark that they're interested in industry news, for instance, that checkmark can be carried through to the SuperOffice as well. And you can even remove checkmarks based on behavior as well. So you can update product interest based on what they click on, what they answer, how they evaluate. You can update SuperOffice based on that. I hope that cleared that one out. Here's a tip from Chris. Again, this relates back to what Konstantinos was asking about how to get started. Chris says, from my experience, start small. You don't need to use all components in one go, but as soon as you start using it, it's very easy to build upon your projects with more advanced features. Thank you so much for that feedback, Chris, and it's very much on point. Don't boil the ocean day one. Just the fact that you can do all of these things doesn't matter that you have to day one. Start small. But rest assured that when you're ready to be more ambitious and to do more things with your webinar, your events, you can do so with all of the different components. So get your ducks in a row, get your basics in order, and then expand from there. That's a great tip, Chris. Thanks for that. How can you get all information? Here's a question from Crystal. How can you get all information connected to the project tab in SuperOffice? Do you have to create an automation in eMarketer? To the project tab in SuperOffice. I'm going to answer this as best I can based on what I think you're asking here. First of all, how do you make sure that it ends up on the project? You need to create a project in SuperOffice first. So in this case, I'm going to go create new, and then new project, and then you create a project. There you go. And then when you tell when you tell eMarketer to automate to SuperOffice, you simply tell it to add it to the project as well. That means that the tasks and the notifications that you add will automatically end up on the project. So just a quick recap on where that was. When you do an automation, just going to open up one of the automations that puts a task into, create a task in SuperOffice. Here it is, store contact in SuperOffice selection or project. It's optional. But if I select my project here, all of the tasks will end up here. So that's what you mean. If that's what you mean, Crystal, that's how you get the activities that you put into SuperOffice related to the project. I also included links, project links here. Maybe that's what you're asking. How do you actually add the reports, for instance, to SuperOffice? So let me show you how that's done. Let's go back to my event and grab a report. Let's say I want to add the evaluation. I'm going to do reports on the evaluation so I can get those. I'm going to say share report now. Report for SuperOffice. Oh, sorry, some typos there. And I just want to show the form results really here. So I'm going to create a report here, and then that ends up on my shared reports. Here we are, report for SuperOffice. So here's an online report containing the evaluation that have come in right now. So what I do here is to simply copy this URL, and then in SuperOffice, when you're on the links tab on your project, you can click edit, and you can add more links. So I click add. And what is it? It's a URL. I'm just going to paste in my URL, and the description, it is the event evaluation report. I already have that, so I'm going to say 2, so you can see that it ends up here. Now it goes on here and click save. Now everybody with access to this project in SuperOffice can just go here, click, and see the evaluations right there. So that's how you get the aggregate reports into your project. So you have the details on the activities, and you have the overviews on the report links. I hope that that cleared out that question, Crystal. Let's see. Any thoughts on how to deal with different email addresses for the same person, i.e. invite is sent to email with full name and the person registers with the short version of an email? Yeah, that can be a challenge. You can actually lock the email field, so if you have the email you're sending out, you can just not include the email field in the registration so that you're sure that the registration is captured with the same email address as you have on record. So that's one way to do it, Christina. Let's see. Lot of questions coming in. I certainly understand if you guys need to drop off. I'll just try to go through as many questions as I can here. How can you use information about the event on Facebook and LinkedIn? It's a question from Karen. For Facebook, you could do several different things. Obviously, anything you build in eMarketer, you can publish to Facebook. So let's say I wanted to publish my invitation or maybe my event landing page. I can click publish. I can say publish, post to Facebook, and I get a selection of the pages that I administer on Facebook. Oh, sorry, the integration's turned off on this demo account. That was not good. Normally, you would see the pages that I am admin for here. I could choose which Facebook page I would like this post to go on, and eMarketer would take a headline, a description, and a thumbnail image of my landing page and post it onto my Facebook timeline. So if you imagine you going on to your company page on Facebook, that would be posted as a post that you've done directly on Facebook. You can just do that right inside eMarketer. You can also post or do Facebook apps. So that would be a post that would sit something like this. You can also do apps. So for instance, this one, get a newsletter, or what is eMarketer? Those are apps. So they live inside Facebook, but they're built in eMarketer. It's really the demo devil playing with me here. But you can build apps, publish them as mini pages on Facebook. So for instance, you can have the registration form or event information going on here with information about your event, so you can drive traffic from your Facebook following to the event. Hope that answered your question, Karen. Here's a question from Laura. If you remove people from eMarketer, will that remove the data sent to SuperOffice? Yes and no, Laura. The tasks and notifications, project additions you've done through the automations will still be in SuperOffice. But the report data, the details about what they answered, whether they were positive or negative, all of that stuff will not be available. That will be deleted together with the contact if you delete that contact from eMarketer. We are 10 minutes past the hour, and in respect of your guys' time, I think I'm going to round up this webinar. I hope that you found it inspirational. I hope that you have been intrigued to do more with your webinar setup, do more with the stuff that you send to SuperOffice, and do so in a more efficient way. Just again, want to mention the upcoming webinars we have on surveys, on cool hacks for marketing and SuperOffice, and mobile applications, and lastly, lead management. Those are some of the webinars that are planned. So check out emarketer.com/webinars, and I hope to see you on an upcoming eMarketer webinar. Obviously, I will send out a brief evaluation for you guys, so I hope you take just a few minutes to let me know what you thought about today's webinar, and also what topics you would like us to cover in future webinars. So thank you very much for your time, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for all of the questions and for playing along in the quick polls. That was really cool. I hope that some of those answers there, the people that haven't used that many event tactics, for instance, if you've seen stuff today, that will encourage you to do more of that. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Looking forward to see you at a future eMarketer webinar and to hear what you thought of today's session. Yeah, thank you. A lot of great feedback is coming in. Thank you very much. It's truly appreciated. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.